So in this video, I want to show you the power of the Rrsp and how it affects your tax refund, but also other credits that you might not know about. So to show you the impact of the Rrsp, I'm going to show you a tax software. I'm going to use an example, and we're going to change some numbers in the example so you can see the difference or the impact an Rrsp contribution has. So I'm just going to use a fake name here, John Smith, social insurance number, fake SIN also, date of birth, let's say 01011987, province of residence, let's just say Ontario. Marital status, we're going to start off with single, and then we're going to change it just so you can see the difference. Did your marital status change? No. Male. Address, whatever. Language, English. Filing for the first time? No. Foreign property? No. 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 Canadian citizenship? Yes. Yes. No. Just for now. So interview setup, we're going to say, of course, that you got employment. So you need to have an income for you to see the difference, to see the impact of the Rrsp. And of course, we're going to say Rrsp contributions here. Next, next, next. All right, so for salary, we're just going to start off with 100,000, just for example purposes. Province of employment, Ontario. So obviously this part, the province is important because it affects it affects the tax rate, of course. We're going to leave everything as is. We're not going to put any taxes, any income taxes deducted on your pay. I basically just want to show the difference of every dollar contributed to your Rrsp. So this is obviously a fake example. So now we're going to go to Rrsp contribution limits. And so this is the deduction limit. So this is how much you're able to contribute, the maximum you're able to contribute. So this normally is 18% of your previous year's earned income, and it accumulates. So if every year that goes by that you don't contribute your allowable limit, it adds up to the following year. So let's say, so this doesn't really matter. It's just, we're just going to say 70,000 just so that we're allowed to contribute whatever we want right now, for example. So this is where we're going to enter our Rrsp contribution. So for now, we're not going to enter anything. I just want to show you the example, how much taxes John Smith is going to pay if he doesn't contribute to his Rrsps, and he's making 100K, and no taxes were deducted from his pay throughout the year. So he's going to have to pay $25,500. So John Smith, single, no children, resident of Ontario, making 100K in income, no taxes deducted throughout the year, he's going to have to pay $25,500 to the government. So remember that number, $25,500. So if we go back to interview and go back to Rrsps, so let's say he contributes. So remember, we were at $25,500. Now we're at $21,263. So his tax owing just got reduced by $4,800 about. So his $10,000 contribution helped him save $4,200 in taxes. So that's about, so his $10,000 contribution to his Rrsp gave him a 42% return on his $10,000. So that $4,200 that he saved, well, it's up to him what he does with it. He can either spend it or he can either invest it. So the smart choice would be to invest it, so your savings can grow faster. Now let's see what happens if he puts 20,000. So remember, when he put 10,000, he got about 42% back from his 10,000. So when he puts 20,000, so we were at 25,500. So by putting 20,000, he saves 7,600 divided by his 20,000. So that's 38%. So you saw in the first example, he was at 42% savings. And in this example, with 20,000 contributed to his Rrsp, he's at 38%. So that can be explained that he's in a lower tax bracket. So if you look at the tax return, so you can see his total income includes his employment income here of 100. But his net income will be reduced by his Rrsp contribution. So So he's down to 80K because of his RRSP contribution. And his taxable income is still at 80K. So his taxable income is at 80K, reduced by the 20K of RSP contribution. So now that 80K, that taxable income, will be used to calculate his tax payable, which is the famous bracket that everyone knows about. So 45,916 or less, you get taxed 15%, and that's just the federal side. That's not provincial. So anything above that, so if it's more than 45 but less than 91, you get taxed at 20%. Above 91, you get taxed at 26%, but obviously only the difference. So here you can see why there was a higher return when he contributed 10,000 versus 20,000. A higher return, I mean, he got 42% back instead of 38% back. And that's because he was in a higher bracket, he was able to save a higher rate. So his first 10K that he contributed to his RSP, that 10K of deduction saved him 26% instead of 20% or 15%. So the bracket that you're in, your salary will determine how high of a refund or of a savings or how high of a tax savings you'll get by contributing to your RSP. That's why you'll hear most people say it's best to contribute to your RSP when you have a high salary, because the savings will be higher. So you can see if you're making 35K, might not be worth it to contribute to your RSP because you're only saving 15%. While if you're making over 200K, you're saving 29% every time you contribute to your RSP. And that's just the federal side. You still have to add provincial side. So as a general rule, it's best to contribute to your RSP when you're in a high salary bracket because you get a higher savings. But at the same time, it's good to get that tax credit right away so you can invest it and grow it. And with time value of money, any money you get right now is better than money in the future. But for example, if you know that in 2 or 5 years you're going to be making a much higher salary, then it might be worth waiting just to get the difference, because as you can see, it's a big difference. But if you expect your salary to grow at a slow rate, then might as well just contribute to your RSP. So let's put 30K, see what happens. So now we're down to 14,663. So we were at 25,500 minus 14,663. So contributing 30K saved us 10,837 in taxes, which is a 36% return on your contribution, and that's just the federal side. Now let's add a spouse to John Smith. So let's say John Smith is married. So basic questions, yes, no. And let's say his wife isn't working. So we're going to say no income to report. If we go back to John's RSP contribution, let's say we put 0. So remember, we were at 25,500. Single John making 100K, paid no taxes throughout the year and no RSP contributions. He had to pay 25,500. Now with 0 RSP contributions, but now he's married. So just by being married and having a wife that doesn't work, he just reduced his tax owing by 2421, just by being married and having a wife that doesn't work. Now let's add 10,000 contribution, RSP contribution. So now we're down to 18,800. So you got 6,600 back divided by 10,000. So about 66% from his 10,000, although 22% about, or 2,200 comes from the fact that he's married and his wife has no income. Let's say he contributed 30,000. He's down to 12,481. So a difference of 13,000 on his 30,000. So 43% return for contributing 30,000 and being married, and his wife having no income. Now, let's say he's making 50K a year. So remember I said being in a low tax bracket, you're going to get less of a savings when contributing to your RSP, but you could be getting other credits like the GST. So let's just remove his contribution just to see how much he'd be paying in taxes with 50K of income. And let's remove his wife. So delete selected. All right, so with 50K of income and no taxes paid during the year and no RSP contribution, John has to pay 8,700. So let's go back and see with a 10,000 RSP contribution, what difference that makes. Actually, let's see, is he getting any GST at this level? Okay, no GST. So let's add a 10,000 contribution. So now we're at 6,000. So with a 10,000 contribution, he saved 2,700. So 2,700 on 10,000 is only 27%. So as you can see, it's a much lower savings because he's in a lower tax bracket. But he might get other advantages like the GST. Yeah. So he's getting GST, which is $282 per year. So he's getting an additional $282 that he wasn't getting before contributing to his RSP. So because he contributed to his RSP, his net income decreased, right? So instead of having 50,000 of net income, he has 40,000 of net income. And because the GST calculation uses net income in its formula, so he was able to get GST because of it. So the RSP contribution gave him a tax credit, made him pay less taxes, but also allowed him to get GST that he wasn't getting before. Now let's see what happens if he contributes, let's say 30K. So from 8,700, he drops down to 1,574. So he saved 7,100 in taxes for contributing $30,000, which is 24% savings on his RSP contribution. So as you can see, the savings decrease when you're in a smaller tax bracket. Let's see what happens to his GST. But he gets 433 in GST. So he gets an additional 433 on top of the savings that he made by contributing to his RSP. So let's go back. Let's remove the RSP contribution. And let's give him a wife. So married, spouse. So just answering the basic questions here. No. All right, so interview setup. We're going to say no income to report. We're going to say wife has no income. And then we're going to go back to John Smith's return. So we were at 8,700 in tax that he had to pay, making 50K and single. Now he's married, same scenario, but he's married. Let's see what happens to his 8,700. It drops to 6,551. So it dropped by the same amount because the tax credit that his wife transfers is a non-refundable tax credit. It has nothing to do with his salary. It's a fixed amount. So you can see a 2,149 difference just by adding a spouse that has no income. Now let's give him an RSP contribution. Let's start off with 10,000. So now he's down to 3,853. So he got a 48% return on his 10,000 by contributing 10,000 to his RSP. But remember it includes the 2,100 from his wife because she had no income to report. So basically his wife is giving him an extra 2,100 in savings. Now let's see what happens if we give him a 30,000 RSP contribution. he's getting a refund. So he went from 8,700 to getting a refund of, he went from owing 8,700 to getting a refund of 1,346. So that's a difference of 10,046. So his $30,000 of RSP contribution gave him a $10,000 savings on his tax return, in addition to his wife having a wife that has no income. So about a 33% savings. Now let's look if he's getting GST. Plus he's getting $568 in GST. Now let's go back, remove the RSP contribution, but add him a child. So marital status, single, address change, no income for the dependent. All right, so now let's go back to John Smith. So remember, we were at 8,700 minus 2,149 when he had a wife. So John Smith single, 50K income. We were at 8,700 tax owing. When we added a wife with no income, he dropped down to, he saved 2,149. So he was at 65.51. So now let's see what happens when he gets a child. No difference in the tax owing. But if we go to tax return, if we look at the benefits or credits that he's going to get, so in GST he's only getting $66. So he didn't contribute to his RSP yet. He just has a wife that has no income and he's got a child. So his tax owing went down by 2,149, the same as before, but he's getting child benefits of 5,128 per year. Now let's see what happens when he contributes 10,000 to his RSP. So his tax owing decreases, of course, by $3,000, so 30% on his $10,000. And let's look at his GST and child benefits. So his GST increased from, I think it was $66 to $566, so $500 difference. And his child benefit increased from, I think it was $5,100 to $5,800. So he got $1,300 extra in those credits, plus a almost $3,000 difference in tax savings, just for contributing to his RSP. Now let's see what happens if he puts 30,000. Of course, he's getting the same refund that we compared before, that we calculated before. So he went from 8,700 plus his 1,300. So he got a $10,000 tax savings by contributing 30,000, by having a spouse that has no income, and by having a child. But if we look at the other credits, he's getting GST of 717 plus 7,900 of child benefit versus the 5,800 in the 10K RSP contribution example, or versus the 5,100 in the zero RSP contribution. So basically his 30K of RSP contribution got him a difference of 10K in tax savings plus 717 plus 2,700. So got his 30K in contribution at the salary bracket that he's at, got him a savings of 13,417. Now let's go back and give him a salary of 100K. Same scenario, spouse and kid. We're just going to remove his RSP contribution. Remember, I think he was at 25,500 with no RSP contribution and a salary of 100K. So now he should be around the 22,000 because it's minus 2,149. Yeah, 23,000. He's at 2,400 saving. Let's look at his if he's getting GST or child benefits. So no GST, but he's getting 3,000 in child benefits. So at 100K, spouse, no income, child, he's gonna have to pay 23K tax payable, and he's getting 2,900 child benefit, and that's with 0 RSP. If we give him 10,000 RSP contribution, so with 10K RSP, he's at 18,900 tax payable, and let's look at the child benefit. He's at 3,240. So you can see from his 10K generated a difference of 23 minus 19,000. So his 10K RSP contribution generated a difference of about $4,000 in tax savings, but also $300 in child benefit. So not that much in child benefits, but generated $4,300 in tax savings in total. Let's see with 30K RSP, what's going to happen. So he's getting a 12,000. He's only going to pay 12,481. So 12,500 tax payable. Let's look at the child benefit and GST if possible. So 3880 in child benefit. So it's 30K compared to the zero RSP contribution gave him a savings of 10,500 in tax alone, plus a difference of 900 or 1,000 in child benefits. So about 11,500. So I hope you were able to see how important the RSP is and where exactly it impacts your tax refund and the difference the salary bracket you're in makes when you contribute to your RSP. General rule, it's best to contribute when you're in a higher salary tax bracket, so you get a higher refund or a higher tax savings. But at the same time, even if you're in a lower tax bracket, depending on your living situation, if you're single, if you have children, it could affect other credits like the GST and the child benefits. Because your net income, which is affected by your RSP contribution, so your net income here, is affected by RSP contribution, as you can see here. So net total income minus RSP contribution will give you your net income. Obviously, there's a lot of other deductions, but RSP falls in a deduction that leads to net income. So that net income is used in the calculation of GST and child benefits. So that's why the RSP contribution has that impact. So, well, I hope this video was beneficial and useful for you. If you have any questions, leave in the comments below. You can also email me directly on my website. I'll provide the link below. Thanks for watching.